For me, dementia is the worst ever illness to afflict a human being.
This episode is brought to you by Tang and Java.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Chat with Mick. And oh my gosh, I am so excited because I have this lady that I met 5 years ago, and this is maybe the fourth or fifth time she's been on my show. She is a dementia advocate, geriatric care manager, the creator of Dear Ellen. She's also the founder of Dementia Up and Personal, and she's also the co-founder of the Coalition of Filipino American Chambers of Commerce. So ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Ellen Samson. How are you doing?
Hi, Mick. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. You don't get tired of inviting me, huh?
Yes, it's been a long
But
time
been a long
though.
time. I think during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, you've been in our shows a bunch of times for different
Yes.
topics, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
you're multidimensional, multifaceted, you're into so many things. And so, my
Yeah.
first question is, what did you have to overcome to be the person who's sitting right there right now?
Actually, the first thing I have to establish for myself, what do I want to be? You know, where's my niche? Where am I good at? What do I want to do, and how can I make a difference in people's lives? So it was a dementia up close and personal, the geriatric care manager thing, and it's about my dementia awareness advocacy that actually pushed me already. At first, it was just a marketing tool, and then eventually, because I was so into it, that I thought if I could just use this movement to better the lives of a lot of people, particularly those who are facing the challenges of dementia in the family, I think this is the one. So uh, from the marketing standpoint of view, it's giving us the clients. However, I think it turned into an advocacy. So dementia, something, but it doesn't necessarily get me out of the other things. Like, I also love to help the community. That's why with a bunch of some friends and some, people who were really into service, we put up the Coalition of Filipino American Chambers of Commerce. It started with just 4 or 5 chambers. Now it's 54 all over the U.S.
Have you always been of service to other people since you were a child?
Yes, yes. I am an INFJ. I don't know if if you know that. In the
I'm an INTJ.
yeah, I'm an INF. But there's another one. I'm a Sigma INFJ. So they say that there's only 2% of that kind of personality all over the world or mankind, and then with Sigma you have another like 10%. So I think, and sometimes we joke with my friends. We talk about, oh, you have ADHD. You're always on the go, but it's more of the heart. Actually, I derive my happiness from helping other people and making a difference in someone else's life. It's not just like a put up, but it makes me happy to help people.
When you were growing up and you were going to school, were you in student government or anything like that?
No, I'm basically just the thinker, because at that time I grew up being the eldest in the family, the responsibility. So when I go to school, I have to go home right away because I'm taking care of siblings. My mom is working. So at an early age, leadership was taught to me and responsibility. Even though it's my siblings' fault, mom would always say, and dad would say, you are the eldest. So the command responsibility, maybe at the age of 7 or 8. I never got to play. Never got to play, never experienced playing because at an early age there was a responsibility that was really given to me as the eldest.
At a very young age, you were given the responsibility and you had to care for your younger siblings.
Yes.
Right? And so does that lead into caring for other people?
Yes. Yes. It became my trait being the messianic complex, I think I have that. In my book, in the Filipino Women's Network Disrupt book, volume 5, I have a story there about how being the eldest shaped me, the way I think, the way I run my business, and this advocacy to help people. I love to help people. Sometimes it's for me. It's for me, but I still give it. This is the thinking that I have in my mind. It's, when people pray to God for blessings, He does not send like money. He does not send like an angel in white robe or wings. He sends people or instruments. So I find that when people pray, God uses me as an instrument for those blessings. Sometimes, if I have the money, I could help. But it's more of be giving the information. Many times I've seen that, like, I prayed so hard, and then they meet me, and then I am an answer to their prayer. So I always say, especially going to church, that please make me an instrument of that blessing.
Since you said you're a blessing to many others, when you receive blessings, you should be ready to receive them and be the vessel for it. How did you prepare yourself as you were growing up? Aside from taking care of your siblings, how were you prepared to be that blessing to other people?
I prepared there's not actually, I could say, preparation. It's not something really I thought that I will be. I just felt it. All I know is I have to study. I have to be able to give. I'm an overachiever. They would say that my biggest competition is myself. I always I did this before, so I can do it better next time. Many times I challenge myself, and if I could say that confidence it's what I have. I'm very I don't feel threatened by other people. And every time I look at a person, I look, what's the reason behind why is he asking for acting that way? Or there's somewhere, this is coming from somewhere. I'm always thinking that way because I always have a reason or justification or rationale for people. Sometimes people are not nice. Maybe I would say, maybe he was raised that way. There's always a reason. So you become open, you justify, but you're also given, that discernment if you're being pushed around or if this person is taking advantage of you. But I always try to establish a reason why people are like that.
What challenges did you encounter?
During growing up, we were not rich. We were not rich. I could not say that we're dirt poor. I realized that we're not rich. I was already in high school or college because I thought the world revolves around a happy family like us. I have my 4 sisters who the whole night when we see each other, we'd still talk and talk and talk, and our dad would say, you all shut up. We have only one bedroom with one king-size bed, and we all slept together. And we would be giggling and talking. We only had one bed. And we didn't know we're poor because we were happy. So we realized that there's something missing when I went to school, in high school. How come I don't have those things, those material things? It was so sheltered. Then I just realized, we're not rich. So others have this. But younger years, I was happy. That's not a challenge, actually. The challenges we're materially not really rich. But relationship-wise, my childhood is so nice because I have my best friends with me. I have three sisters and a brother. Yeah, that's when you have a good foundational background emotionally, you don't see challenges. You just realize that when you grow up and you are exposed to all of these things that you thought you should have. But challenges, I just found them out when I was in college that not everybody is as, I would say, cerebral like me. And I was a nerd. I was a geek. I didn't even have boyfriends in high school and in college, because I thought when you go there, you should just have to study. I had a sheltered life. I had a beautiful thinking that I should finish my school, and from here I could be good. I could I'm going to study. I'm not just going to play. I'm just going to study. So if you ask me about that during my childhood, I didn't have any challenges except that I was too naive.
What did you take in college?
Mass communication. I thought I could be a Corina Sanchez. I
Yeah.
thought, because it's mass communication, I realized I can speak, I write good. Maybe I will be good I will be good with that. And kids, you think that you can just be this like that by studying. You become idealistic, but I realized, I took up mass communication, but I ended up in business.
When you moved here to the US, how old were you?
Almost 40.
Uh-huh.
I was 30, 38. It's a new life. It's a new life. That one is another story. Could be a topic of a book, of the resilience, a story by itself, but it's something that's I am kind of it's a topic of my book in Disrupt 5 book from the Filipino Women's Network.
How were you able to overcome moving here, having a new life, everything's new? What happened back then?
You start from the very bottom. I came here. I came here with my kids. I used to travel back and forth many times, and then eventually, I decided that I'm going to stay put. I'm going to stay put. So I brought my kids. I brought my kids here. We are with my 3 kids because I was running away from a bad marriage. So it started, and then my first job was to be a karaoke master. you know, I said, Mom, they're gonna pay me $70 for 3 hours, and I will just have to sing. And then my mom said, really? Okay. So, I enjoyed it the first few months. I'm paid $70 for it's $90 for 3 hours. And then that was how many years ago? 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And your tip is around $300. But the problem is my mom was she said, you go home at night. That's not good. That's not good. Para kang hostess. That's what she said. And I said, and because the customers are following me home. And my mom said, don't do that. So I quit. That's my first job. And then small jobs but I have to be back. I have to be back in the Philippines because I need to finish some work. And then in 2008, I really stayed put. I really stayed put. So we migrated 2000. Then I went back there 2004. And then 2008, I stayed here. I stayed here for good because my mom said, with my job in the Philippines, I was really traveling a lot, and I work with some tycoons in the Philippines as their my position was managing consultant for a conglomerate. But then my mom said, if you don't stay put in the U.S., you will become a grandma soon because my kids are going to be teenagers. They're already teenagers, and they're using the window as the door at night. So I got scared. So I told myself, no, I'm going to stay put. And now I have to start all over again. Nobody wanted to hire me because 2008, that was the real estate bust.
Yeah.
And my job, my experience is into the commercial real estate. I run shopping centers and commercial properties. Now nobody wants to hire me because I don't have the local experience. I have international experience and I cannot get it. And it was the real estate bust.
What did you end up doing?
Caregiving. Caregiving. My mom said, why don't you become a caregiver? I tried to apply. Nobody wanted to get me. And at that time, there was no position. So one friend told me, do you want to be a caregiver? And I said, how much is the pay? 150 a day. And I said, okay, that's going to pay the bills. So I took it. On my first day, I had to deal, I didn't have the training. I had to deal with pee, poop, and vomit. And remember that movie of Sharon Cuneta, Caregiver?
Yeah.
That she was a teacher and she was like washing the feces and everything. She was crying. That was me. I was crying. I said, I'm such a loser. I'm such a loser. I thought, but I have to do this. I find myself so in my lowest moment at that. But then I went home. I was happy because before I left on my first day, this lady told me, "You were so good. You are so good at what you do." And I said, "Yeah, of course." I thought I like what I did. And then I told myself, "Oh, I'm happy because I made a difference in someone else's life." So I said, I think I will like this job. But during the time I was applying for the caregiver position, there's paperwork. I was already thinking, how if I put up something like this while still turning in my application?
Yeah.
So I said, maybe I can. But it took me 2 years. 2 years of doing caregiving because after I got that patient, I had several others wanting me. And after 2 years, I said, why can't I put this up? So I tried to study. I took up CNA. I took up all the certifications needed. But then I thought, but I'm not doing just caregiving. I'm doing more. I am their executive assistant. I arrange doctor's appointments. If there are problems in the families, I'm the one in the middle. I am going out of my way rather than more than giving showers. And I said, this is not just caregiving. So I thought, and I researched, then I stumbled upon geriatric care management. And at that time, there were only 33,000 geriatric care managers in America. And I took that course. And I learned it, and I put up American Geriatric. So which is now, that was in 2011, so now it's been 14 years. It's been 14 years that, from there, hundreds of seniors more. And then in the middle, I think 2013, I am getting this exposure with dementia. You get hit. I don't know why are they doing. Just like why is this person doing this? My inquisitive mind. And I tried to understand and got classes. I followed Tipa Snow all over the U.S. for her talk, and then other courses, and I specialized on it. And then I said, I can use this as a marketing tool. Why not?
What is dementia up close and personal? Is
Yeah.
that a workshop for families that have dementia, relatives and family?
Yeah. With dementia, usually people talk about dementia. It's just on the clinical side. Doctors talk about it. You have dementia, you'll have to forget it. You forget this. These are the clinical symptoms. But what I notice is that when there's dementia diagnosis, a lot of families, they don't know dementia. They don't know that it's brain failure. They think, oh, it's just normal because he's already old. He's like that. In the Filipino language, makakalimutin, kabaw. But they don't know that this person is having brain failure. the brain is shrinking. The brain cells are dying. And when the brain cells die, so goes are the memories and the bodily functions or that goes with it. That's why I said, how come people don't know about it? Particularly in the Philippines. Not everybody knows dementia, and they don't know that a lot of seniors die very lonely because the families, they don't even know what is dementia and the science or the technique on how to approach or talk to a senior with dementia. They don't know.
So let's go back a little bit. Why dementia?
Dementia is kind of personal. Of course, because I was exposed to it because of my business. But for me, dementia is the worst ever illness to afflict a human being. Because with dementia, this is why I got a lot of flags and a lot of comments about this, but I stand by my belief that dementia is the worst. Of course, all diseases are bad. Cancer is bad. Heart attack is bad. But what I'm saying is that with dementia, when you have cancer, you actually cross the bar or pass away. You know who are these people crying in front of me. I'm going to cross the bar. I still have myself. I know I was a former doctor. I had a good life. I was good. This is my family. They love me. And I had a good life. So it's okay to cross the bar now. With dementia, you are in pain. You can't say it. You can't say that it hurts. And I don't know who these people are around me. I don't even know who I am. I'm floating. And I have no idea. I am in limbo and I'm crossing the bar. So you can't even bring yourself. That's the worst ever. Your humanity vanishes if in case you are in the last stage of dementia. So that's just a big difference. So I said it's really something that needs to be addressed. I'm not just advocating for the right language and approach, but also how we can address that, how we can prevent or prepare for it, because it's a human tragedy. Dementia for me is a human tragedy.
You mentioned something about reality orientation and that there's no place for it in dementia care. Can you go further into that?
Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't know dementia. So what happens is that when you have dementia, you have a different set of, how do you call that, reality. Because as I said a while ago, with dementia, typically the brain cells die. When the brain cells die, so goes are the memories and bodily functions. So now, I always say that when you have dementia, you will not know that this wall is white. You will see it as red. It's because that's how your failing brain is processing what the eyes are seeing. So now, if I tell you, I look at the mirror, look at the window, and I would say it's raining cats and dogs, and you look and it's really like, it's sunny. There's no rain. How come why are you saying that? And because you don't know dementia, you would say, Mom, it is not raining cats and dogs. See, look, it's so sunny. And for her, because her brain is now faltering, her brain has now a lot of brain cells, and her capacity to process things is different, she would say, no, it is raining, how come? And you, despite, with all the respect and love, say, Mom, it's not raining. So how will your mom see that? Mom would see that like, you think I'm lying? You think I'm making this up? Because you don't want to be, you're telling her your reality and you're not understanding her reality. Because she's seeing the rain, the curtains look like rain. And the reflection of the glass looks like, how do you call that? Lightning. And she's so confused, and you're now trying to tell her, you're lying, you're not telling the truth. Now, could you imagine that you're giving your mom reality orientation every day, telling her you're lying? If she says, you didn't give me my breakfast, but she just ate. And what you say, remember, you just ate. Do you want me to let you sign something just to tell you, or you're going to show to her the video that she's eating? She will not understand that because her brain is already failing. Her processing, the areas wherein she's going to process the data is already bad. It's already messed up. So every day you tell your mom your reality and not her reality. How would she feel? She would feel mad. At first, she will get agitated. She gets mad. Oh, like, I don't want to talk to you. But eventually, day in and day out, you're telling her that she is stupid, she's wrong, she's lying. Eventually, do you know that a lot of seniors die with dementia? Very, very lonely because their families don't know how to talk to them. I have in my workshops, after they hear me, they cry. And I said, what did I do to you? Because I didn't know that I didn't treat my mom well because I didn't know how to talk to her. That's the reason for the dementia up close and personal. If we could just snatch seniors from dying very lonely because the families did not know how to deal with them. Yeah. So that's the goal behind that.
How would we care for dementia patients? What do we tell them if reality orientation is not supposed to be part of dementia care?
What you could do is live in their reality. If they say this wall is red, yes, it's red. Yes, you have to live in their world. Do not contradict. And try to be always a James Bond. Why is she saying this? Why is she saying, I want to go home? A lot of people, I want to go home, but this is home. The reason for that is home is actually looking for, it's a way to say, I need comfort, I need stability. Home means comfort. I want to go home. The way they say it is because they're looking for something to grab on, to something stable, and home it is. Or sometimes they want to, where's my mom? I want to see my mom. But mom passed away before. Others would say, she died 5 years ago. Why are you looking for her? And then she would say, my mom passed away 5 years ago? She cannot remember. So that's double-bladed. You tell her that her mom is dead, and then she's looking for her mom. Why do you look for your mom? You're looking for comfort, for safety. You should know how to decipher their language to understand who they are. That's why it is very important that caregivers and families understand dementia.
Because of this passion of you wanting to help dementia patients and their families with the care of their relatives who have dementia, you've put up a podcast that is now 100,000 followers and 5.5 million views. Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. Congratulations on that one. How did that come about?
I don't know. I just was like, I thought I was alone. And sometimes I really want to pull out like, we're doing this? Well, I'll just have to post something because the Facebook page has been there for a year. And I get 5 views, 10 views. And then one of my staff said, why don't you talk about dementia? And why don't we do this? Do it. I said, okay, I'll do it maybe once every 3 months. Because before, it's through Zoom. And then I talk to different churches, organizations. But it's not like a podcast. But then this one, it kicked off in February. And our highest is around 5.7 million a month. Now we're sometimes you have 3 million, but we never went down to 2 million. It's always 2, 3, 5. And most of my followers are 50% is from the Philippines, others are from Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong, and most of these are the OFWs and domestic helpers and Filipinos abroad, those in the diaspora. So I think my market is more in the Filipinos, and then the other, and because I have not really opened. I have all the requests for an all English, but I haven't done it yet. It's not. It's time consuming to have a podcast.
There's the dementia up close and personal, and there's Dear Ellen. Is there another program that bridges all of that together?
Yes, we have, because right now we have this initiative to fund all of this, because I can't go out myself. I have small sponsors, but I want everybody to make this something good. I just came up lately with an arrangement with the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and they will be the partner. They will be the financial partner for this. So fiscal partner, and it's bridging resources in dementia education. It's really important that we need to have the resources to tell people. Ellen can talk about it. I can be there, but I want to train more people. I came up with a Care Academy. It's a school. It's an online school that people can go there and learn about dementia. But as I said, the car will not run without gasoline. And I really wanted to fund it, but a lot of people wanted to help. And with the Bridge Initiative, they can now make a donation to send people, scholars, to the Care Academy.
What is the Bridge Initiative?
It's bridging resources in dementia education. Oh, the other one, the G, I forgot the G, but it's Bridge Initiative. That's the one. It's a movement to fund all of this, as what I said. Yeah, we will be launching it. We'll be launching it next year. You're the first one, actually, Mick, to hear about it. Yeah, it's the Bridge Initiative by the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce Foundation. It is going to be a movement for the Filipino diaspora to fund bridge or resources for dementia education coming from the Filipino diaspora in the world.
You said earlier that there are now 54 Filipino American Chambers of Commerce in the entire United States, who are members of the coalition of Filipino American Chambers of Commerce. And so with that project that got bigger and bigger, started with 4 chambers, 5 chambers, now there's 54. What can we look forward to in terms of projects coming out of the coalition?
The coalition is actually an association of the chambers of commerce. It was built not as a chamber of commerce, but it was built to help teach leaders on how to run chambers of commerce. Because before, Filipinos, we always run associations just a bunch of friends having coffee and they call themselves Chamber of Commerce. They have a pageant and they call themselves Chamber of Commerce. We need the Filipinos to be more proactive in making our generation be entrepreneurs. The problem is we're so good at being employees because that's how our culture espoused our future. Your mother did not tell you to go to school to be a good entrepreneur. She said, okay, go to school so you can be a good doctor, dentist, accountant. But these are all employment-based. Is it the fault of your parents for thinking that way? No, it's the fault of a flawed culture who did not espouse entrepreneurship. So, are we going to be left behind by the other ethnic groups? The other ethnic groups are actually supporting entrepreneurship. So now, why are you making the other people rich? Why not you? Why not? So, that's not the job of a Ilocano Cultural Foundation. That's the job of a Chamber of Commerce. That's the reason why, even though you're not a business owner, or if you want to espouse entrepreneurship, support your local Chamber of Commerce. So what COFACC does is we train the leaders. COFACC has only 3 signature events. We have the Expo, the Asian American Business Expo every August. And we have the strategic planning for all. January, we are all going to be in Arizona to do the strategic planning for chambers. And we have what you call the Leadership Development Academy. It's the only one of its kind. I'm a big part of that, teaching leaders on how to run chambers of commerce the right way.
Speaking of great ways, I know you're one of the very first adapters of new technology because you've had the virtual assistants.
The Helix board is a first of its kind. When I was doing it, I accidentally did it. When I designed something, I asked, just tell me when I asked and researched, just tell me if there are people already doing this, what I'm doing. So I asked Gemini. I asked ChatGPT. I asked Claude, Grok, DeepSeek. I asked them if there's something like this that I am building. And they said, none whatever. Nobody has thought about it. When you go to a chamber, you get elected, you were taken in, you won the vote because, of your integrity, not because you know how to run a chamber. So when you go there, how will I do this? How will I, and then the other organizations, the other people who run the chamber will just leave memos, everything. It's just there's no depository of what happened. So it's just like having a partner or an assistant who's telling you and advising you and researching for you as a president. So I created the organizational brain. So you do not have to be like, what am I going to do? So say, for example, we call the president, we call it like R2. R2. I'm now the president. What can you suggest? Can you give me ones, or what are the projects that was done before? Can you give me an idea what happened before? Blah, blah, blah. It's going to tell you. I would like to do this. Can this be like this? And R2 would say, that is feasible, but you have to remember, there's all that is blah, 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 and it's not in accordance with the bylaws of blah, blah, blah. It's going to guide you. So I created for COFACC the brain of the president, the brain of the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, and the board member. So now, when you go in, your chamber now has a memory of that. And I am teaching COFACC. They will be the first one who's going to do it. So, hopefully. And I created also that is the HOI, that's the Helix Organizational Intelligence. I also created the HI. HI is Helix Individual Intelligence. Do you want to have the brain of Einstein? I can create that for you. I will give you the brain of an Einstein. Who knows you? Who knows everything about you? So now you're like, I want to know when you speak, when you do something, and what are the things that you want to do in your life. We can prepare you.
Would you say that you have found your purpose in life?
Actually, if I die tomorrow, I think I have accomplished a lot. I just want to make sure that I have enough moolah to leave to my heirs. Make sure. But right now, I think I am just a vessel or an instrument of the Lord. That's, if I wanted to be remembered, I just want to be an instrument of the Lord. That blessings, many times I have proven that when I see, they prayed and I answered. And it was me that was sent by the Lord. So for me, that is the purpose. Not because I'm good. It's because I always tell them, thank you, Ellen, thank you for no, don't thank me. It's Him. You prayed, and I was the vessel. I was the instrument. I think that's my purpose.
So,
my purpose in life.
You were talking about discernment earlier. How did you discern that was the purpose of the Lord for you?
Because it's been in my eyes, what as people, why did he create us? To worship Him. But sometimes people, they do not see that God works in different ways. But the only thing is you have to pray and ask for it. If you just rely on yourself and ask for a friend, it's actually the faith that's very important. There is a bigger I'm not saying being, that there's a God who's there, who's actually trying to help us. We just have to pray. You just have to be thankful and ask. That's the discernment. I grew up, I'm not the person who would talk about God and everything about the Lord. And, I just live it. And everything that I do is, I attribute to Him. I'm not a preachy person. I don't, dictate my faith with other people. But if I can be of help, and I can be an instrument of goodness, that is my purpose.
For those people who are watching us and they want to go into geriatric care or dementia advocacy, we have a lot of people who are caregivers in the Filipino diaspora, right? And if they want to go further than that, like you did with geriatric care, how would they go about that?
Enroll in the Care Academy, because if you want to be a geriatric care manager, it's there. It's a part. It's going to be launched next year. It's going to be maybe January, February. It's an online thing, and it's going to guide you on how.
Where can people find you?
Facebook. Right now I have, because I don't know, I have also in other platforms, but I'm more visible in Facebook, Instagram, and I have videos. I haven't really paid attention much to my YouTube platform, but I answer. Text messages. I do.
Dear Ellen on Facebook?
Yes. Dear Ellen's on Facebook. Every 2 weeks, I go live.
For those who are watching out there, if you want to find out more about dementia and geriatric care, you can message Ellen Samson on Facebook. She's also on Instagram, and she has a live podcast that happens every 2 weeks called Dear Ellen on Facebook. Thank you so much, Ellen, for being here.
Thank you. Always, if it's you. And when I launch these projects, I'll be back to talk about it.
Thank you. So we look forward to that one, to all of your projects. And for everyone out there, thank you so much for being with us today. And we'll see you in the next episode of Chat with Mick.
This episode is brought to you by Tang and Java. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out.